The first game is going to take place on Frost, so let's jump right into the game here. PvP, our first PvP today. And starting to the top, to the bottom left actually, we have now our first player here. It is a Patience for AI. And he had quite a showing in this tournament. Of course, he kind of made his first, like he had a couple of offline events already where he really showed the world that he's a strong opponent to reckon with. But now he's going up against someone who, especially at the DreamHacks, had a lot of success. Starting to the top left, we have from My Insanity, Stardust. A great showing in the tournament so far. And well, earlier when Stardust could actually overhear us, you were forced to kind of give him the advantage. Do you really think he's going to take the series, or do you think that Patience is in the end going to have the last laugh?
I think Stardust. I think Stardust has the advantage here. I've played a lot against both on the ladder, and while Stardust sometimes seems to play not so strong, I can tell that he's just experimenting strategies. Like every time where he has played so many different strategies against me, whereas Patience is more predictable. Let's put it like that. So I feel like with the proper combination of ridiculous and unacceptable greed and mind games, Stardust will be able to have the advantage in this series. That's what I think. So. Yeah.
If you look as a pros player, if you look at a big map in like a 4-player map, how does it change the Protoss versus Protoss matchup for you compared to the massive amount of 2-player maps that we've seen in the tournament and that we will definitely see later on in the series?
Well, on 2-player maps, you usually see scout timings at around 3 minutes. So you get to the opponent's base at 4 minutes, and then you can see if the opponent is investing in a Mothership Core or Stalker or straight into attack building. On a 4-player map, there is no such guarantee that you can see that on time. So oftentimes a player will either scout relatively early and hope he scouts him on the first or the second position, or they'll just not scout at all for a while. So let's see. So far, both have not scouted early yet, so they're just going to do a build that is relatively safe against most things. Patience is doing that normal scout timing, but he's going the wrong way, which means he won't be able to get into the base at all if Stardust keeps a Stalker at home.
Yeah, Stardust, on the other hand, is really making his way straight to the bottom left. At least it looked like it for a second, and then he veers to the top right, so I'm absolutely wrong here, and both of them are going to take a long time until they get the first scouting information and find out what's happening in the main base. They will both be able to shut down the scouting here. But what would you expect is going to happen here? I mean, we see Patience already going into a second gateway, whereas Stardust is just sticking it out with 1 gate so far.
So what I think Patience is doing with the second gateway, as well as the sentry, that cues me in that he's probably going to be taking an expansion. Doing a 1-gate expansion used to be all the rage on this map, but recently, when the Oracle got the speed change buff, production, we can still hear you, thanks, sorry. Okay, recently with the Oracle speed change buff, it became really dangerous to play like that. Anyway, Patience is not doing that. He's actually going for Twilight Council. So now I'm thinking, is that Blink or is that DTs? And is that a soccer match in my head?
I'm still wondering what we're hearing here. I can hear a soccer match or something like this. I'm not quite sure what it is, but yeah. We have right now, as you already pointed out, the Twilight Council going down for Patience. And well, it could definitely be a Blink build. I personally am a huge fan of having Blink Stalker builds collide, but we have seen a lot of DT openings, DTs into expansion, DT openings in general. What do you think is going to happen here?
It's hard to say. Both went for Twilight Council, but so late. I'm not used to seeing it, especially Stardust, who is he's on 1 gate. I don't understand why his Twilight Council is that late. So I don't really know what's going on here. Patience is doing a Blink, and he's doing a safe one. It is a pretty popular build on Frost if you consider mind games, because the first default build, I would say, is Stargate. And Blink does pretty well against Stargate, so they're both trying to counter the Stargate build.
Well, Blink is now coming up for Stardust as well, and the first Stalker already just having a quick look here, of course, once again at the ramp. He didn't really see that there is already a Parland for Patience, but with just the amount of warp gates or gateways that we have currently for Patience, he has already the better production. 3 warp gates are going to be ready in just a few seconds here, and the Stalker count, of course, is going to mirror that very, very soon as we have the first few rounds of warp-ins coming in. Stardust has a little bit of a faster robotics going on, and this will help him to maybe even get an Immortal to fend off against what we see from Patience at this point. But it's still going to be pretty tricky. As you already said, the timings just seem to me way more crisp for Patience.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is, since they both have the same build, 3-gate Robo Blink, neither of them should be able to be aggressive. The defender is going to have the biggest advantage. And what that means is that both should be getting an expansion. Oh my god, he's going to get the Mothership Core for sure.
Well, there comes the time. Bobby's trying to save it, and actually he's getting away with it.
Not for sure.
Wow, gets the Mothership Core, saves it for now. At the same time, the stock account now in favor of Stardust, but Patience fighting with a bit of a better amount here at that choke point. I was so close of taking one of them out. And there it goes. One stalker down already. At the same time, a slight lead in Harvesters for Stardust. Really playing too much in his cards, but the blink for that we have for Patience a little bit faster helps him at least to fight to escape this battle.
All right, both recognizing their blink against blink usually means they both throw up a Nexus. Stardust was the aggressor, which usually is not a good idea because he will not have the defender's advantage. But because he decided to go quickly for an expansion, and Patience, because he feels pressured, warped in 2 more Stalkers. And it's those 2 Stalkers that made his Nexus more delayed. So Stardust already showed himself to be the more, I don't know, well-versed in the way that this plays out. Because of that little bit of aggression, he's got a little bit faster Nexus, and that means he's going to be pulling ahead in probes just a little bit.
Yeah, he keeps his cool here for sure, and is just making sure that he has the edge in the game, and also the faster Forge that we see there. So he will be the one to go into an upgrade build first. And at the same time, Patience now just trying to get his own stalker count, or his own stalkers into play, blinking away, but Stardust immediately retreating into the main base. He has that one Immortal, and that is going to shut down what Patience is currently trying to do here. He has one Phoenix Hallucination on the other hand that gives him vision on the high ground, so he can always blink up there, but Stardust is just waiting for that move.
And one big problem for Stardust, he was supply blocked at 50 supply, and that means that whatever probe lead he was looking to get has completely evaporated. So whatever advantage he had with the earlier Nexus, it's gone now. They're on equal footing, except Stardust had the Forge earlier. And basically the way that PvP works is like this. At any time where you both realize that you're going to be on a second base, and you're going to be saturating that with probes, you get your Forge ASAP. Think of upgrades like a train. The back compartment can never overtake the first compartment. You can only start your second attack upgrade after you finish your first, and so forth. Chrono boosts, no matter how many you put on them, your opponent can match you. So you've got to start that upgrade as soon as possible. Attack upgrades are the most important thing in PvP. Armor doesn't matter, shield not that much either. It's all about attack.
Yeah, and talking about that attack upgrade, it's already halfway done for Stardust, whereas Patience just now completed his Forge and hasn't even started the upgrade yet. Stardust also the player who goes into the robotics bay first, so in tech he's just always a step ahead of his opponent. And if he really can just put this into a timing later on where he attacks just when his upgrade is about to be finished, he can really get a massive, massive lead in that fight and really carry that into a victory. So it's a little bit like what we see in a lot of Zerg versus Zerg as well. Worker supply, as pointed out here, is nearly identical. A small difference here by 2 Harvesters, and that's about it. A slight advantage for Stardust, but it's not really going to come into play too much, at least for now.
Usually after a blink opening, players will go into Colossi. They combine really well. They're both ranged units. And usually when you didn't open blink, you'll go for the Zealot Archon Immortal first. That's just how it works out. And they have both decided to go for the Colossus already.
Yeah, and it's just one of those PvPs where we don't see a lot of aggression. I mean, at the beginning, they were both looking for an opening and having a quick poke if they maybe could win the game really fast. But as is, both of them sitting tight on 2 bases, trying to get the tech out. The Colossus count, of course, going to be really important. Stardust is once again the one player who is a little bit ahead, but it shouldn't matter too much unless Patience is the one to move out. Because if Stardust has to cross the map to attack Patience, then the difference in the production here is not going to matter all too much, since Patience will have his Colossi out right at the base where Stardust is going to attack.
Yeah, I think Stardust is doing the right thing. It's time for an expansion. We see a divergence in the way that they're playing now a little bit, at least unless Stardust adds a second robo as well. Patience, with that second robo, is going to try and take a superior Colossus number. For Stardust, I'm wondering. I think he'll throw up a Templar Archives first. And then he can start using his Colossi numbers in addition to some Archons. Now, Colossus are the most important unit in the game for PvP. Okay. Colossi are the most important unit in the game for the army composition in PvP. You want to get about 9 or so in your total army composition.
Yeah. I kind of lost train of thought because I was fixing your audio problem. So
Thanks for fixing that.
Sorry for that. And well, actually, what we have right now, when we were talking about the Colossi numbers, we have a massive amount of Harvest Elite suddenly for Patience, who really kept this production going and is looking at 60 versus 48. So in terms of income, he is way ahead of his opponent right now. He's really taking quite a significant lead here. And at this point in time, we have with that third base, or we have actually a pull with the probes over to that third, and both of them really trying to get that additional tech once more added faster by Stardust going into the Templar Archive here.
You know what? Stardust is pulling a fast one here on Patience. He's not forgetting pro production or something, which I initially maybe thought, but he's not making any for a while because he was trying to do like a big attack. The Templar Archives got made as he was moving out, and then he would ideally like to summon a few Archons and attack and hopefully catch an over-probing opponent off guard. But he was met in the middle of the map before he had a proxy pylon up, before he could warp in Archons, and he didn't like that position. Patience in the meantime was also there with his Stalkers to potentially do an immediate counterattack, and Stardust didn't like the odds. He went back. Now he resumed probe production for a little bit, and that means that suddenly he will fall behind in economy. He has already.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's still in. I have to say that in general, I like Patience's presence on the map. He's much more active on the map with just the Blink Stalkers that he has, just to see what's going on. And as long as he keeps tabs on his opponent, well, that was a bit unfortunate for him, not only losing one Stalker, but even two. So Stardust taking a bit of fight out of his opponent. But in general, just Patience with how map aware he is, I like that a lot. I like this position. But he's still behind in tech. The +3 attack upgrade already started for Stardust, whereas Patience doesn't even have his +2 completed. So these are all these edges that Stardust has. The question, of course, being, can he really put that into an advantage in the battle itself then later on?
Yeah, I'm liking Patience's position because he's got the double Robo. He's got 6 Colossi against 4, soon to be 5. He could go on to 7. I think it's very difficult for Stardust to attack into a Protoss who has superior Colossus numbers. So Stardust missed his timing to finish it off. I think this game will go long. Both will get to 200 supply, and then we'll have to wait and see. Our army positioning is going to be absolutely crucial. And usually what we see is that a War Prism will be made at around 180 supply, or a bit earlier. There we go with the War Prism. And that will purely be used to do some light harassment, but the goal is not to kill a lot of probes. The goal is to pull the opponent out of position and take a favorable fight. You know what's funny is, if you use that Prism to do like really effective harass and kill 20 probes, is that the opponent just fills up his supply with army and wins one big fight. It's really quite ridiculous. It's like, yeah, I killed probes. Shit, he has a bigger army and I lost.
Well, right now, the one thing that I was complimenting Patience for earlier is coming back to bite him, because we have him losing a lot of units there. All the Stalkers that he had on the map, and he was trying to keep tabs on what Starter was doing, were caught off guard and taken out. And even that attempted Zealot bite that you were already mentioning, it just didn't really do him any favors. He didn't kill anything here, and just in resources lost, he's already far behind his opponent. So Stardust looking at a 20 supply lead in overall supply, going into the shield upgrade now. And he also has a lot, well, he has the Archons in the game. We don't see any Archons just yet for Patience. He just swapped in the first round of High Templars. So in general, Stardust is playing the much more solid style.
Yeah, and he just killed the War Prism from Patience that went in there. But I have to say, throwing away Stalkers in PvP is a bit like throwing away Roaches as a Zerg. You want to do it when you pass the 150 supply mark, or even a bit, yeah, when you pass the 150 supply mark. Patience is in a dangerous position now because he hasn't filled that supply gap yet. He does have more Colossi, but he will make the better army composition eventually. So this is a very important timing here by Stardust, but it looks like he just about missed it. Patience is maxed. I think he's got the much better army. Stardust can't afford to attack here, but he's gonna anyway, and I think Patience will win. Let's see.
Well, Stardust is moving in right now, and Patience has a great arc on all those Colossi, doing a massive amount of damage, and Stardust is immediately dropping down in supply, whereas Patience is also losing a lot here, but he can warp in immediately. And with the Colossi lead that you mentioned earlier, he has the better edge here, but in the end, it's actually Patience who loses the Colossi much faster than his opponent. But the meat shield for Stardust is now gone. He's trying to run away here. 5 Colossi against 5 Colossi still, and it's Stardust who's down 20 supply all of a sudden. That attack, and especially the position, working out for Patience.
Calder, that was an extremely close fight. At first I thought Patience was going to win it easily. Then suddenly I think we both thought that Stardust had it. With that War Prism Prism, putting the Immortals in, and warping its Zealots to the flank of the Colossi. A very powerful move there, because the Colossi will shoot lower amount of units rather than shooting the absolute massive units that Stardust was displaying there. But then eventually the new warp-ins from Patience pulled through and he pushed Stardust back there. But this wasn't one of those fights where it's completely game over. Colossi were saved on both sides. Worker counts are similar, Colossus counts are similar. Patience has a small lead, but it's not over yet. And Stardust also is getting his own fourth.
Stardust is once again chasing his zone. You're completely right. I mean, that setup that we had for Patience there really looked like he would dominate that battle, but Stardust starting to really pull through, and in the end, both of them with the same Colossi numbers. It was just the lack of really a shield for Stardust that won Patience that match, and Stardust had to move back. He was in danger of losing every single Colossi that he had on the map. And it's once again Patience who takes the lead in the Colossi numbers. 7-5, that's what we currently see here. And in army supply, he's slightly ahead of his opponent, trying to take position on the map once more. And he's also the one who identifies immediately that Stardust is trying to take another base to the top right. He sees that and can now start to counter it. And he himself is already on 4 bases.
Yeah, he already is. And well, Stardust has the better upgrades right now. He's working on the second shield upgrade. Patience is working on armor. I do feel like shield is way better than armor in this matchup because it helps Archons, which have a lot of shield, and also any building and any other unit that there is. Nice cancellation there on the armor of Patience. I did mention armor and shield aren't too important, but it's still a nice edge to get, since both already have +3 and armor and shield is the only thing that can add value to 200 supply armies. Patience, he's getting a lot of high value units in this composition. 4 Immortals already, and he's making 2 more. Stardust, he's only getting 1 Immortal. And Immortals are very important for the staying power and the resilience and the Colossus killing power of 200 supply armies.
Exactly, especially if you get close enough to Colossi, Immortal just do so much burst damage against them and take them down immediately. Right now we have Patience already maxed out, starting with his bank here. He had that 4th base a lot faster than Stardust, and that really resulted in him having the better income there. The upgrades, that's the one lead that the My Insanity player really has. Currently looking at the first shield upgrade already and getting the second one. Patience not really investing a lot of resources into additional upgrades and starts the armor upgrade right now, but it's still a bit late. Stardust even now with the Warp Prism warping in units into his opponent's main base.
And Patience can't defend. He doesn't have any supply to warp in anything at home.
Well, he lost a little bit. He could warp in something right now, but he doesn't really do too much. He warps in at the top right where he's trying to take down the space of his opponent. That income that he has there. And Stardust with additional attack. Patience had to move back with his entire army. Takes those Colossi now down again. Here comes another round of warp-ins for the Alien Invasion player.
Yeah, he killed the cannon. Mission accomplished. So this Warp Prism will live to see another day. Flew away, even though Patience wasted 4 Stalker Warp-ins to try and take that one down. A Dark Shrine coming out here for Stardust, which will help him a lot in these kind of harassments.
And another thing is that we actually have double Fortune now being built because Patience lost his Fortune, so he can't get that armor upgrade that he wanted out there. He cannot start shield upgrades, and Stardust is already on his way to get +3 shields. He's really getting a massive, massive upgrade lead over his opponent.
Yeah, almost in any matchup where you lose a Forge that was upgrading something in progress. Nice move there. It should always be replaced with double Forge because you're already falling behind it. You want to get 2 upgrades at the same time.
That's exactly what he's doing right now. +1 armor and +1 shields. Patience warping in once again. He really wants this 4th base. There are 4 cannons by now, and he's taking them down one by one. Stardust so far not committing with his army. Now finally starting to move towards that 4th.
Whoa, 5 DTs getting warped into the defenses. The Archon didn't know what hit him.
Yeah, literally. I mean, there was nothing. There was no observer. He had no idea what was going on. And at the same time, we have still a warp in at that 3rd base of Patience. There are a couple of units at the bottom, the Stalkers here, taking their toll, taking down Harvesters. And so far, 18 probes killed. It doesn't really look like Patience realized that.
Oh my god, is there a fight out of position here for Stardust? Patience, nope. The Mothership Core sees everything. A little bit of a premature time warp, but it looks like Stardust is eager to take the fight.
Yeah.
Pre-spreads his army, feels like he has the edge here, and I think he does. Way more Archons, he moves in.
And that's 12 Colossi against only 9. The Immortals, on the other hand, of course, working for Patience, but he clusters his units up. And that arc for Stardust has way too much DPS. He stands against Colossi and takes the game here. Stardust with a 1-0 lead.
From the corner of my eye, I saw Stardust's arm move up too high in a move that could not be related to playing. And the next thing I see is the Colossus dancing. And I think, you cheeky. Cheeky Stardust.